What's up, y'all? It's your boy Kairas, and I'm bringing you the definitive PvP guide for Enhancement Shaman in Season 1, The War Within. So just to get it off from the start, Mastery is your best friend. No matter what you do, Mastery is your friend. That's what you're going to stack. If it doesn't have Mastery on it, you're playing the wrong game. You need to get Mastery. And two, no matter what spec you are, it might change a little bit differently for Totemic and running the Elementalist build, but with Stormbringer and running the Storm build for Enhancement Shaman, you always press Wolves on cooldown. You should always have a Wolf out as far as you can see. You have Wolves out, you're generating Maelstrom, you're doing more damage, you're getting your Tempest back as quickly as possible, you're getting another Wolf out from your Tempest. That's your whole job, that's what you're doing. Your wolves actually do a considerable amount of your damage, I would say anywhere from 5 to 6% of your damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start to realize how much damage is actually in Storm, even in PvP, I know a lot of people are saying Enhancement is not good. Enhancement suffers from mechanical issues, not damage issues. We suffer from not being able to connect. That's the major thing that sucks about Enhancement. There's nothing in this tree that gives us anything as far as mobility or clearing snares or anything besides one totem, and that's right here, and that's a 2-minute cooldown. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to break down the Stormbringer build. There's one talent you might have to change, but most of the time you probably won't, and it depends on, are you playing 2s or 3s and what comp you're fighting, which is this talent here. Arc Discharge, when Tempest strikes more than one target, your next 2 Chain Lightnings are instant cast and deal 40% increased damage. The moment that you hit that Tempest strike, you want to spam Chain Lightning before you get any Maelstrom stacks above 5. Major reason why: you can accidentally consume those 5 stacks and screw up your rotation. Doesn't feel that great. If you're running a single target, you're fighting 2 casters and a healer. Storm Swell. Every time you get a Tempest strike, you get 6 seconds off your wolf, and think of it like this: instead of needing 40, now you need 37. It just makes it a little bit quicker. You also have things like this: unlimited power. The more Maelstrom you're generating, this is why I say spam wolves. All you're doing is wanting to get wolves out as much as possible. You want to be spamming Maelstrom stacks. You want to be spamming it the entire game. You are a demon of haste with this spec, with the Stormbringer spec. So if you have stacks, spend them. Get your 10 stacks, spend them. Spam, 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 spam damage. Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning have a 35% chance to refund 3 Maelstrom weapon stacks. This procs a lot, and so does this. Right here. Static accumulation, 20% chance to refund Maelstrom weapon stack spent on Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt. While Sentence is active, generate 2 Maelstrom weapon stacks every 1 second. So that's 12 when you get a proc. You get a lot of procs with this because you have unlimited power. Okay. Volatile, Voltaic Surge increases your Clash Lightning, Chain Lightning, and Earthquake damage by 15%. Feels really good with Crashing Storms. They just mince together, and these 2 talents go together with Arc Discharge. Does a pile of damage. Good to go. Tempest, Lightning Bolt, and Elemental Blast and Chain Lightning make your target a Lightning Rod for 8 seconds. Lightning Rods take 10% of all damage you deal with Lightning Rod and Chain Lightning. This spell is looking really good with Elementalist Blast. Elementalist Blast is hitting for about 1.2 million, 1.4 million. It's actually hitting really hard. The only thing I don't like about it is you're getting so many Ascendance procs with unlimited power and getting so much of your Maelstrom back that you're actually kind of not getting the full 10 stacks of your Elementalist Blast, but it's still feeling really good. I've kind of done some experimenting with both Elementalist Blast and Tempest Strikes. They kind of seem to be kind of neck and neck. It just depends on what you're kind of facing. and if you can stay on or not. But if you can't, Tempest Strike's Elementalist Blast are going to be your top 2 damage every game. Okay, so you're gonna go in between. I would say Chain Heal is a good one with your Maelstrom. Enhance does have a lot of healing right now. Chain Heal. I know the tooltip is low, but I've had Chain Heal hit me for 800k and a teammate for 1.4 million healing, so about 2.2 million healing. Not a lot for a spec like Enhance, but the reality is Enhance is also a support spec, disruptive spec, and everything else. You're a Shaman, you have a 12-second kick, you have grounding, you have all these utility spells. Shaman's always been a very disruptive class. And anything to help your healer stay alive, help your team stay alive, Enhance has that goal set in mind. Enhance, as far as I've seen, Elementalist Blast is better than Tempest Strikes. I've played with both. I do like how Elementalist Blast is actually doing damage right now. It does a pile of damage. When it doesn't crit, it's like 600-700k, but you're also getting haste and mastery, which more mastery equals more procs, because your mastery essentially works like increases your chance to trigger Stormbringer and Wind Fury by 3.48%, increase all fire, frost, and nature damage you deal by 34.8%. As far as my mastery sits right now, your special attacks have a 8.5% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to deal 25% additional damage as nature damage. So that actually makes your Storm Strike a little bit fatter. So the Stormbringer build, you want to use Wolves on cooldown, and that's pretty much it. There is some funny things to do with Lightning Bolt on this build as well, or Chain Lightning rather, where you can actually get Wolves back really quick, and your Crash Lightning can actually be one of your top damaging abilities. As funny as that sounds, I've actually had some games where, like some 3v3 skirmishes, where my top damage is Chain Lightning with Ride the Lightning and Chain Lightning, and just using Tempest Strikes and not even worrying about using Elementalist Blast. And then when I have Tempest, that goes over because Tempest hits harder, and it's also just I take 10% less damage, whoever gets debuffed by it, and then I get more Chain Lightning. So that's one thing to think of it. It's basically like using a Chain Lightning with four Maelstrom stacks. And it also reduces the cooldown on Crash Lightning, while Crash Lightning can also proc Storm Strike. And you're running Converging Storm. I believe it's 10% up to 6 times, so you're buffing your Storm Strikes by 60%. And, well, more proc, Storm Strike has a 25% chance to strike the target on additional time for 40% of normal damage, and this effect can chain off of itself. So you can start to see where Storm Strike actually starts to amp up. You do a ton of damage. That's one thing where you can kind of cheese the game. It feels like where your damage can actually just be absolutely ridiculous. Guess what? Well, more Storm Strikes equals more Ascendance, more Maelstrom. It's just, you're doing so much damage. You literally, there's endless damage, but the other issue is if you can't connect, you're not doing anything. Okay, I'm going to go into the totemic build. I'm going to explain this. I'm going to switch talent trees here. And I'm going to kind of explain how this is working. So, kind of roughly the same thing. I am not running Ice Strike. I don't like it, never have. It feels kind of in the way with all the other buttons you're trying to press and get out of the way. So I'm going to kind of explain kind of my reasoning for doing what I'm doing. I don't want that one. My mistake. Let's make sure everything is in the correct order. Right. So we still have all the Storm Strike modifiers except for Converging Storm and Storm Flurry. We still have Ascendance. We still have all the great things for Enhance. So to start it off with the spec, Same thing as Converging Storm, as the Lightning build. You're just going to start off by doing damage. You're going to drop your totem. This is basically your basic rotation. You're going to use Sundering to buff your totem. And it is a little bit slow. You still kind of do wait for some damage. I have wolves again. I'm going to use wolves. I have my totem again in a couple seconds. See 1 million. I'm going to use my totem. I still think I have it on C. I don't know why. But anyway, you can start to see where, okay, I've got my wolves again. This is basically where you're always going to have wolves in some degree or manner. And this is basically going to be your entire rotation. Keep Storm Strike on cooldown. We've got Bloodlust, we've got everything. We'll drop our totem. Okay, pop wolves. It's pretty much just non-stop damage. If you can connect, you're gonna hit. Same thing. Proc, proc, proc. We've got wolves. We got our totem. We're gonna use Sundering to get that huge damage buff. I'm gonna pop wolves again. Elementalist Blast. I'm gonna wait till I have the 10 stacks. Either a proc. Okay, we got our 10 stacks. Elementalist Blast. And you can be kicking at the same time. This is just 100% up on the rotation. Okay, we have Totem again. We're going to use it. We have Sundering. We have Bloodlust. This is basically your entire rotation. If you don't have an Elementalist Blast, you're obviously going to use your thing. We've got an Ascendance proc. We're just going to use it. $1.3 million. I don't have any enchants on my gear yet, so my damage is a little bit lower. But this is kind of where the Surging Totem, yes, it is hitting 3 targets instead of 1. 1.3 million on the Elementalist Blast. Chain Lightning from your, Ride the Storm. Lava Lash is hitting for 1.1 million. Your Wind Fury with this spec is actually hitting harder versus Stormbringer because of this right here. It just increases the chance for Wind Fury to trigger by 10%, increases its damage by 15%, right? So increases it by 10, increases its damage by 15, which is kind of nice. It does make it a little bit better, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and swap back to the Storm build. And I'm going to kind of just show you what I think of the Elementalist Blast with this build. Now, there are a few things about this that I like and I don't like with using Elementalist Blast, because you need 2 different binds, and I'm kind of a mongoloid. Okay. So we're going to use Crashing Storm. We're going to start bursting. Got 10 stacks. We have no more Elementalist Blasts. Another Elementalist Blast. You're going to just use Wolves on cooldown. This spec has so much more haste. Of course, you do still have a little bit of downtime here and there. It doesn't always feel super great. Each time you spend Maelstrom, it does feel really good. Okay, we got another Tempest. We'll make sure we have our Bloodlust. Elementalist Blast. Got our 10 stacks. Elementalist Blast. Sundering. Wolves. Proc of Tempest. Our 2 Chain Lightnings. Tempest. We don't have all our things yet, but we still have wolves out. We have our 10 stacks. Wolves. Ten stacks of Maelstrom. Try to capitalize on that. Tempest. We got a second proc of Tempest. Wolves. Make sure we keep Flame Shock on the target. And you can kind of see where, yes, Chain Lightning is a big part of your damage, but you also, I did also cast it 8 times with the Arc Tempest thing, with the Arc Discharge. Crash Lightning is doing a significant amount of your damage as well. That's where I was saying where this synergizes really well with getting it off cooldown with Chain Lightning by using it on the Arc Discharge. Elementalist Blast isn't hitting quite as hard as the other one. Lightning Rod's doing a fair bit of damage. Lightning Bolt, it's hitting okay, I suppose. But Awakening Storm, Storm Blast, this is basically your Storm Strike proc. So Storm Strike is close to Mentalist Blast here, and it's also bouncing off your Chain Lightning, and it's also hitting off of your Wind Fury and your Flame Tongue weapon. So there's a few things to kind of see here and go, okay, this is actually doing not too bad at damage. You're buffing your Mastery, you're buffing your Haste with the Elementalist Blast, which feels really good. I know this spec still isn't always the strongest, but it does feel like Enhance, as long as you can connect, you do have a chance. But the only issue with Enhance is you're still relatively squishy in the melees. It feels like Warriors just rip you apart. I feel like they should probably buff Enhance's HP or something, like Earth and something. Who knows? But hopefully they do make some changes. I do hope that they do buff Storm Strike, because Storm Strike does feel lackluster as far as damage. And that's kind of where one of the things where I do like Tempest Keeps, because it just makes my Storm Strike damage that much fatter. And it makes my sustain a little bit higher. And even though you don't get the lightning, the huge damage from an Elementalist Blast, you do kind of feel the difference. Your sustain's a little bit heavier versus with Tempest versus Elementalist Blast. Elementalist Blast is more of a chunker. It feels a little crazy, but it just also reduces the keybinds, which I also like, because Enhance already has a ton of keybinds. Shamans already have a ton of keybinds. You got to be watching out for fears, different things, because you have Tremor Totem on a 24-second cooldown. You've got your kick on a 12-second cooldown. So it's not just all damage with Enhance. There's a lot of team utility as well. I'll put some helpful macros in the description. I'll put these 2 talent trees in the description below as well. But if you guys liked the video, go ahead and sub and like, and that'll help me out a lot. And you guys can go ahead and share, do whatever you want, dislike it, I don't care. I just wanted to bring this out, help you guys out. Anybody that does want to play Enhance, hopefully this will help them out going forward into the Season 1, trying to press some ratings, seeing what they can do in solo shuffle or vice versa. Stormbringer, I would say, is probably the easiest. You don't need to be that smart to do it. Every 10 stacks, you just spend Maelstrom, you get Haste. Feels actually not bad at all. But either way, glad I could help you guys out, and y'all have a good one. See ya.